Hello and welcome to the Ascension Football Show. I'm Joel Villafano. So, the national team's World Cup qualifier is drawing near. Terry Fenwick and his men, they have been struggling for quality opposition. So, out of the blue, Lahokita Rangers boss, Richard Ferguson, has offered Terry Fenwick an interesting lifeline. He is here to clear the air.
We have been training very, very hard for 3 years, steady.
What I did was actually promote the under-18 team at Northeast.
Our first qualifiers was in Dominica.
Can't wait to jump into the big story. Big news over the last week. Safe to say that the Soca Warriors and their preparation thus far for the World Cup qualifier against Guyana on March 25th, their preparation has been a bit underwhelming. With the pandemic hitting football very hard, opposition sparring partners for Terry Fenwick and the national team, they have been few and far between and not of very good quality. So, out of the blue, Terminix Lahokita Rangers owner Richard Ferguson threw coach Terry Fenwick a bit of an interesting lifeline. Play his Rangers, beat them, and Mr. Ferguson has offered the national team $100,000. So no, this is not a game show. This is not Price is Right. This is Trinidad and Tobago's national football. Only here on the Ascension Football Show, Mr. Ferguson will clear the air. He's here with us in the flesh. Mr. Ferguson, welcome again.
Thank you, Joel, for having me, and it's a pleasure for you inviting me again.
So, varying views, Mr. Ferguson, on this developing story. First of all, this gracious offer by yourself. How did it all come about?
Well, Terry, we at Terminix Lahokita Rangers, we have played national teams regularly. In fact, we have played 6 so far. We have played Dennis Lawrence, the Trinidad and Tobago national team 3 times. We've played Grenada once, and we played St. Lucia twice. So it's a normal thing for us.
To play national teams.
To play national teams. And the reason behind it is that we believe playing teams that are better than us is the way to improve our performance. So we always seek games against national teams. And in fact, if the coronavirus was not so vast, we would already have flown out to play one of the national teams, probably Dominica, Antigua, Guyana, somebody. So since November, we have been seeking this game with the national team. But it was to no avail. You know, Mr. Kieran Edwards, he had spoken to the chairman in the normalization, that's Mr. Robert Haddad. I myself spoke with Gary Griffith. We had several phone calls with Adrian Romain seeking the game. But what Adrian Romain was telling us is that the national team is currently underfunded. They are having problems, you know, paying stipends, getting refreshments for players. And I well know how difficult and expensive it is to run a team. So what we said was, we tried to mesh the 2 problems, and we tried to help as best we could. We said, look, we normally offer our players a performance incentive, so we can do the same thing for the national team. Let's play the practice game, and should the national team win, they will get a performance bonus of $100,000, which is normal, to help improve their performance and their efficiency and so on. They could also use this funding to pay their players and pay expenses and so on. In addition to that, what we suggested was that if we are allowed to bring players and spectators into the ground, we can do that, and we expect to bring in about 1,000 patrons at $100 a ticket. We would get another 100,000, and we would donate that to the national team. So they would get that funding whether they win or they lose. In addition to that, we also told them that if they agreed, we would also put it on TV, and any advertising revenue that is generated from the television coverage, that would also go towards helping the national team cover their expenses. So it's not a negative suggestion. It's a way to help the national team, help fund them, and also what we saw it as an opportunity for Coach Fenwick to see our players. He hasn't seen Rangers play in over a year. And our roster has expanded significantly. There are a lot of new players that have come on that have improved. And we have about 27 players on the roster. Atula Guerra, Willis Plaza, Kieran Cummins. A lot of players with a lot of skill and talent, as well as they have a lot of young ones. Junior Soon, Isaiah Lee, Isaiah Raymond, lots of talent. And we saw that as an opportunity to mesh the two problems to develop one solution.
So that was explained in some detail,
Yes.
I think, for the first time. When many people see headlines, it seemed, Mr. Ferguson, to be fair, that it was a wager. Beat me and you get $100,000. So many people were asking, why that approach? How do you respond to that?
Well, what we do, first of all, our players have a performance incentive every game. And for this game, our players have the same performance incentive. So all we did was we extended that performance bonus to the opposition as well, because we want to help them. And we know that they have problems, they have difficulties with the excessive debt in TTFA. And we're trying to reach out to help them as best as we could. And that's the reason. So I think it's a win-win situation for everyone. What was also very interesting, Joel, is that when this agreement became public, or when the proposal became public, there was a lot of interest. A lot of people want to see the game. And that is what they want to see in football. You want to see that interest, that crowd coming out, the spectatorship going up. That is what you want to bring to football to make it successful. You know, you don't want to see a game with nobody in the stadium, nobody really doesn't care. That is a no-no.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win for everyone.
So based on that now, have you heard at all over the last week or so from Mr. Fenwick? Any communication at all?
Well, they have asked for the proposal in writing, which we did. Mr. Kieran Edwards, he sent out the proposal in writing, so we are waiting a response.
So no direct, Mr. Fenwick didn't call you and say,
No.
Mr. Ferguson, I think I will take you up on that offer.
No. We haven't heard anything as yet. But we are very optimistic, and we are trying our best to help as best as we could.
All right. Let's deal with another issue, Mr. Ferguson. Based on public reports, I think, over the last few months, it suggested that your club have refused to send players to the national team. Mr. Fenwick could have approached for players, and you basically would say your players are in training with the club and you're not sending them to the national team. How can you clear this up for us?
Well, it has several points that you need to consider there. One is that we are following FIFA guidelines. And FIFA guidelines say that we don't have to send our players to training. And this is what he's asking them to do, to train. He's not asking them to play for Trinidad. They're not selected to play for Trinidad. They are selected to train, right? We have been training very, very hard for 3 years, steady. You know, they would get a couple of weeks off for Christmas, a week for Carnival, a week during, August and so on. But they have been training very hard for 3 years together. And, it's best to explain the intensity of the training in a little more detail. So first of all, we train for the whole day, from 9 until 5. When they come in the morning, they will get breakfast. They will then do drills in the morning. They then we'll then do a video session with them. They get pre-game supplements. They then do a scrimmage in the evening, and they would finish at 5. So the training is very intense, and it has a lot to do with nutrition, vitamins, supplements, post-game supplements, massage, and so on. So it's a very intense situation. So they have been doing this for 3 years, and that's why the players are very, very fit. And Joel, I could give you an example of some of these statistics because we measure players' fitness. I think the standard is in a yo-yo test is 50. You know, our lowest guy here does 65. You know, they are very, very, very fit. They would run a 90 minutes and they could do another 90.
Yeah. You almost sound fearful to send your players out to the national team.
Right. The point is that they are fit. They are training. To send them to training really doesn't seem to be the right thing to do.
Yeah. And it's not, as you said, according to FIFA guidelines.
Right. So the FIFA guidelines is 5 days.
Yeah.
You know, what they're asking the players to do is to go and train for 8 months. You know, now our payroll here is about 236,000 a month. So you're asking me to pay my players every month for 8 months, but they're training elsewhere. You know, you're basically gutting the team, and that doesn't seem right. And again, FIFA doesn't allow it, right? However, whilst that may be so, you know, we are quite willing to negotiate and talk and discuss.
But let's talk about that, because Trinidad and Tobago's situation, Mr. Ferguson, may be unique in terms of the international FIFA guidelines. Are you willing to, notwithstanding the FIFA rules and guidelines, consider some kind of compromise for the greater good? So if Mr. Fenwick comes to you and said, okay, I need the players to train, but probably just 1 day a week, are you willing to do some sort of compromise?
Absolutely. We're very willing to compromise. And you see, my situation is I am employed by the club as the managing director. So I have to seek the interests of the club who pays me. So on the other hand, you want to help Trinidad and Tobago, you know, but you're torn between the two, because if I help Trinidad, if I send them for 8 months, I'm destroying the club. Yeah. And if I don't send them, the country complains. Right?
And you're willing to compromise.
So what we have to do, we have to reach some middle road where both of them are happy. And what we would suggest, I would tell you 10 days, you know, before the game, you could send the players, they would be fit, and we could progress from there. But we're very willing to compromise. What I would suggest to is that the head coach needs to see the players. The last time he would have seen our players was over a year ago.
Right.
And the team has evolved. They have gotten a lot better, a lot more skills, a lot fitter. And he really needs to see them to select the right ones. You know, because the last that I got from TTFA, those guys that they were asking for may not have been the best players in my, you know, limited judgment.
And Rangers, you have been training here at the Lahokata ground consistently.
Yes.
Has Terry Fenwick visited a training session at all over the last?
No.
So he hasn't seen your players.
No. And this is another reason why we are suggesting play the practice game. Let them see the guys in action. You know, I would love if we could represent Trinidad and Tobago, the players. I would love it. But what I'm suggesting is let them play the game, and then he can see if they are worthy. You know?
As you may well be aware, dividing opinions on footballing issues in Trinidad and Tobago. Some may say, Mr. Ferguson, based on the story, the developing story, with the wager, that you're playing games, you're playing politics, Mr. Ferguson. How do you respond to that?
No. This is not politics, because Mr. Fenwick doesn't have a vote. This is trying to help Trinidad and Tobago forward, trying to help football forward. We are a very, very positive club. We don't get involved in antics, and I would never come out and you know, badmouth any person and so on. And this has always been my policy. I wouldn't like anybody to do it to me, and I wouldn't do it to anybody. This is about helping them. We were trying to get the game without any money. It was Adrian Romain and these guys who were coming out and saying, look, you know, we need some help. And this is the best way to help them. You know, that I feel, because we have resources, we can help them. And we're trying to as best as we could.
At this stage of the game, you still want this game to be played?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And in fact, because the squad is so large, I would like to play 2 games, because the second string Rangers is a very tough squad.
So you want a A team and a B team to
I
play the
would
national
like
team.
to play them 2 games.
Mr. Ferguson, thank you though. Clearing the air is very, very important. Let's see where this story goes. It's a developing story and we will keep our eyes on it here at the Ascension Football Show. Mr. Richard Ferguson, $100,000 on the table. He has laid out his plan as to how this will happen. The ball now is in the court of Terry Fenwick and the national team. Stay with us. We're coming back.
The situation we have here is that these characters, and I refer to them as pests, right? What they are doing is destroying our country, but not on my watch. No street, no turf, no block shall belong to these cockroaches, right? It's no longer business as usual. Happy hour is over. If they don't fear God, at least they will fear Terminix.
Have you considered how your methods could impact on pests across the country?
I find we look after the rights of pests as opposed to the rights of the 1.3 million law-abiding citizens in Trinidad and Tobago. I wonder if Roach Ladden's son come here for carnival, if you'll interview him, eh?
But how could you defend one shot, one kill?
What, you want me to throw a pillow at him?
I didn't say that.
No, well, if a roach jumps in front of you now, what will you do?
Run.
Oh, Jesus, Lord Father.
Pests bothering you? Call Terminix at 672-5007 or 672-0042 or visit our website at terminix.co.tt for a free quote and consultation. Join our fight against pests.
Get in the game with Ascension. Quality for champions.
Ascension! Ascension! Premium quality and style make you stand out all the time. Ascension is quality for champions. Ascension fit is always right. Take your game to higher heights. Ascension got the quality for champions. So everybody say, hey, oh. We wearing Ascension when we play. To run out on the field in style. What's the brand that we want? Ascension! 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 We wearing what we wearing is Ascension. Quality for a champion. Ascension! We wearing what we wearing is Ascension. Quality for a champion. Ascension! We wearing what we wearing is Ascension.
Get in the game with Ascension. Quality for champions.
Pests bothering you? Call Terminix at 672-5007 or 672-0042 or visit our website at terminix.co.tt for a free quote and consultation. Join our fight against pests.
Amante Del Cafe is located at Magnificent Mall, number 271 Southern Main Road, McBean, Couva. Amante Del Cafe. Happiness begins with brew. Lasso Frey Maritime Limited provides boat storage, hull and launch, boat repairs, boat engine repairs, secured parking, 24-hour security, and extensive camera system, boat charters, boat rentals, and down the island parties. For more info, contact 634-1653. Lasso Frey Maritime Limited, the best in marina services. Life's better on a boat.
Hey guys, welcome back. We're heading up and down the Ascension Football League now, and we've been, of course, touring some clubs as we get ready to get football back and running here in Trinidad and Tobago. The Ascension Football League will be the first league that will kick things off, and one of the clubs that maybe ring a little new bell to most of you is AC Port of Spain. They will be part of the Ascension Football League, and they actually are the new rendition, so to speak, of formerly Northeast Stars. So we have with us the owner of this new club, AC Port of Spain, Ryan Nunes is here with us. Ryan, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Joel.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome.
Appreciated the interview.
Well, so, I mean, AC Port of Spain said, sounds like a new kid on the block, but as I said, there's some royalty that comes through with AC Port of Spain because you're a former You're the owner of a former Pro League champion in Northeast Stars. You took over from Northeast Stars, you bought over the club, and you turned it into AC Port of Spain, correct?
Yeah, that is correct. And in 2018, Mr. Mahabir had approached us that he was willing to sell, and our board agreed to buy the club, and we assisted with the financing of that 2018 year. And luckily for us, we won the 2018 Pro League. You know, so we were quite happy for that. And since then, it's been quite a journey.
Yeah.
You know.
So take me back to that. You would have had connections with Northeast Stars and Mr. Mahavi and his crew. What's your basis in football? Where did all that come from?
Well, if I was to, I guess, answer that, I've always been like every other maybe fan of football, had an interest in football. I mean, from my college days to university days, and wanting to give back in some capacity, you know. And I guess we had a mutual person involved that sort of brokered the transition. And eventually we came to a mutual understanding, and we were able to acquire the club from Mr. Mahabir, you know. And I think it was only fitting. It was quite a nice time where Mr. Mahabir had served quite a long time since the inception of the Pro League, that he was able to leave the Pro League with a championship, you know. And me, it was a good feeling now coming in and winning the Pro League. So at the same time, you're trying to reach that high again. You want to win the Pro League again, or should I say, the new professional league that will emerge. So I'm grateful for the experience, the journey, and you know, and working with the coaches and the players. You know,
so very different from being a football fan.
Correct.
To a club owner. Did you ever thought that you would own a club, or had ambitions of owning a club?
I would say yes. I think at university, when I was at university, I did consider the fact that owning a professional club was in contemplation. And that's why I thought carefully about it and thinking, okay, what would be my contribution to not just this club, but to the national setup, you know. And again, giving back to the country, our social responsibility is where it's at, you know. So.
You decided to change the name, and I'm going at this based on the fact that Northeast Stars, back in the heyday, would have been one of the real community clubs that would have been representing at the Pro League level and at that level, representing that northeastern part of the country. You changed the name and moved the territory, correct?
Correct. That is correct. So I kind of give you the history on that, is that initially before acquiring Northeast Stars, we actually had made an application to the Pro League under the name AC Port of Spain, or I think it was Port of Spain FC, right? And why we went with the name Port of Spain is that we felt that the branding from a business model would have been a more attractive brand, not just on the local front, but on the international stage. So hence the reason for, one, changing the name to the capital, you know. Two, we were in discussions with AC Milan at that point in time to be a feeder club. And what they wanted, the contract with them was pretty strict. You know, you can't adopt an international brand like that. And there were certain audit obligations that was required. So we've been working towards that, you know, but the world is at large now, and it's not necessary that we will follow through with that. And I mean, you can build relations with other clubs internationally. So, yeah.
Yeah, so you had to change the name based on all that kind of development that was happening.
Yes, correct.
Is it that the club will be based coming out of the capital, coming out of Port of Spain?
Ideally, yes. We would like to, in my opinion, we need to reestablish our community base. That is the bedrock, and that is the grassroots of the football. There is a disconnect presently, but we need to reestablish that. I think we need to establish trust amongst our stakeholders with the club, and eventually, I guess I need to show more face. I need to get out there and meet with the individuals who would like to either play with the club, train with the club, work with the club, and even just be a part of what our mission statement is. So yes, yeah.
Are you a Port of Spain boy? Are you a city boy?
No, I'm actually I'm from Valsin.
Right.
But I went to school in Port of Spain,
Right.
St. Mary's College, played at St. Mary's College.
I don't know why I just look like a St. Mary's boy.
Yeah, I look like a St. Mary's. I'm a ring actually.
Yeah,
St.
okay,
Mary's.
okay.
So yeah.
Right. So you have a connection to the city, so to speak.
Yeah, I have a connection to the city.
Right. What now? I mean, I know, as I said, the pandemic has affected all the clubs, all football in the country and across the world. What has been your challenge in terms of getting new club, new name, new branding? What has been that challenge like getting ready for the Ascension League? Let's hope in the next month or two.
Well, to be honest, the players were still training without the ball. You know,
So you have a group of players together
yeah, they were still training.
under Northeast Stars. Let me just get that clear. Under Northeast Stars, you brought players.
No,
across.
AC Port of Spain. AC Port of Spain.
Right.
So just
So you started afresh.
we started fresh. So essentially, when we won the Pro League, I thanked the players. We had seasoned players who won the league. I thanked them for their efforts and their contribution towards the club, and we pretty much dismissed them, right? And they went on to greener pastures and to further their careers. What I did was actually promote the under-18 team at Northeast, and I actually asked Zoran Vranis to take charge of the team, and then he brought in Mr. Gilbert Bato. What we were looking for was to develop the young men, and because Mr. Bato was coming from San Juan Jabalete, and I didn't know him from before, but I know him now, some of the players from San Juan Jabalete's under-18 team followed, and that combination allowed us to position ourselves with young players, where we're proud to say that young Jean-Paul Rochford signed his first contract with Antigua FC in Guatemala. So putting the players through the process works, right? We now just need to get it consistent. We need to make sure that, again, our contribution to the young men and women of the country is there, and what the mission statement is. I suppose we could have retained the championship squad, you know, and win, but I didn't think that was the right contribution to be made. You know,
You were very much interested in developing the young players.
correct. So right now the under-18 was still training. Again, it was a 2-year program, so now that Roche was out, we still have like a player like Rivaldo Koyat. He might be earmarked. Again, we've just sent Jaheim McPhee to Egypt. He had 3 offers, but we turned it down. He's currently due to get to Slovakia shortly once the COVID restrictions allow. And we have the under-16, I guess, being promoted to under-18 now. And then we want the under-18s now to be representing at the senior level. But that's not an easy feat, because at the coaching level, you obviously want to win, and there's a lot of risk that you will lose, right? So not that we're trying to not win, right? But we are patient with the players and the development, you know. I think every club has their role to play, and that is our role. Eventually, we'll get the model right where, you know, we may eventually over time become like the developmental clubs like Ajax or the Portos, if you want to call it that. The Borussia Dortmunds, the Arsenals taking academy players, and they having the benefit of playing first tier football, and hopefully we can now get those players internationally out there. Hopefully they could go on to their careers and then make way for the younger ones coming through the system.
So I want to get to the ambition of the club as the season is drawing near in terms of a kickoff. But I'm hearing you, and I'm wondering whether or not AC Port of Spain will develop that model that, as you mentioned, that of probably an Ajax or a Porto, where you shipped out how many players you mentioned? About 2 or 3 players already?
Well, I would say only 2 successfully.
2 successfully.
Yeah.
And you're talking about the under-16 moving up to the... So is it that you're going to be a club where you're going to be that sort of developmental club and giving young players opportunities to probably go on to greener pastures? Would that be the model?
Well, the under-18s were continuously training, where we're probably adding a lot of, maybe a couple of seasoned players, because when you're going up against teams like Terminex, you need to have some seasoned, some maturity players to give them that support to battle against the more seasoned clubs. So we will try to maintain that model, right? We are patient, I believe, in the achievement. I thought we did well in the FCB Cup. Matthew Wuling unfortunately got injured, and while we were on a trajectory of playing good quality football, that's all you can ask your players to do at this level. You know, so we want them to continue. We'll continue on the process, and let's see what happens in a couple of years.
So some of the players to watch, as he mentioned, Matthew Wuling, fantastic young talent.
Yep.
Some of the players to watch.
Presently, I think Drake Giuseppe is one that is earmarked for the future. I think Josiah Wilson is another one. He's only 16. He's showing talent. He's showing commitment. You know, he's hungry. You know, there's a defender, Brito. I forgot his first name actually. He thinks he's talented. Again, most of these players are national under 20 players. You know, and the avenue to be playing against seasoned professionals. I think they're grateful for that opportunity. They probably get, the experience that is required, and they will be able to, I suppose, reflect upon what is necessary. That if it is I want to compete at this level, what is required? Because if you're not ready at this age, meaning under 20, to be going across abroad, then it'll be very difficult to further your career internationally. So.
Is Zoran Vranic at the helm? Who's at the helm?
Zoran Vranic is back in Serbia. I think actually he might be in Montenegro right now. So we keep the relationship open. He is looking for the recommendation to come to say, well, if there's a vacancy in his club or where he's working, whether we would want to make that recommendation, because we don't want the player to go abroad for a trial and then return because he's unsuccessful.
Right.
We want to know that when we put him through the beep tests and the Cooper's tests and all the other assessments, that he is now qualified, and we have the expectation that he will remain, that he will earn his place.
Who's coaching your current team now?
Currently, we have Walt Noriega.
Right.
He's we have Gilbert Bato, and we have Joshua Lamb. Right. So we don't have one head coach. The way I go about it is a tripartite, that the three coaches have equal amount of decision, and they make a decision unilaterally. Yeah.
Well, okay. Tried that model before?
Well, I mean, there's always some hiccups in between, disagreements.
Three Borat in one hole kind of thing, yeah?
I mean, yeah, it's quite such as the football, but obviously between themselves they work out the dynamics,
cool.
And really what is the best decision will come.
All right, cool. Finally, the ambitions of this club, because as I said, it seems to be a young bunch of players that you're putting out there. What's the ambitions of the club as the season is getting ready to start?
Well, I want to make sure that we're competitive, that we're not going out there known as the whipping boys, per se. When we first started off, we did start off with playing double connection in the FCB Cup, being the Pro League champions as Northeast. I think we got 7-0 or 6-0. But at the end of the season, we tied with double connection 1-1, right? So once I'm seeing the progress, I'm happy with the development, per se, right? So what we expect is that the team, some of the players, we expect to put up a good fight. That's all we can ask the players to do until we're at a point where I believe they're expected to win.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Ryan Nunes, new kid on the block, safe to say? AC Port of Spain?
Yes.
New kid on the block, and look out for them, guys. AC Port of Spain, representing, as I said, that Port of Spain, the capital. I think it's been a while since we've had a club representing the capital city, so good to see. Taking over from Northeast Stars, bear that in mind as well, but new leadership, new ownership. Ryan Nunes and his gang, wishing you all the best, my brother.
The situation we have here is that these characters, and I refer to them as pests, right? What they are doing is destroying our country, but not on my watch. No street, no turf, no block shall belong to these cockroaches, right? It's no longer business as usual. Happy hour is over. If they don't fear God, at least they will fear Terminix.
Have you considered how your methods could impact on pests across the country?
I find we look after the rights of pests as opposed to the rights of the 1.3 million law-abiding citizens in Trinidad and Tobago. I wonder if Roach Ladden's son come here for carnival, if you'll interview him, eh?
But how could you defend one shot, one kill?
What? You want me to throw a pillow at him?
I didn't say that.
No, well, if a roach jumps in front of you now, what will you do?
Run.
Oh, Jesus, Lord Father.
Pests bothering you? Call Terminix at 672-5007 or 672-0042 or visit our website at terminix.co.tt for a free quote and consultation. Join our fight against pests.
Get in the game with Ascension. Quality for champions.
Hey, Ascension! Premium quality and style make you stand out all the time. Ascension is quality for champions. Ascension fit is always right. Take your game to higher heights. Ascension got the quality for champions. So everybody say, hey, oh, we wearing Ascension when we play.
in the game with Ascension. Quality for champions. Amante Del Cafe is located at Magnificent Mall, number 271 Southern Main Road, McBean, Couva. Amante Del Cafe. Happiness begins with brew. Lasso Frey Maritime Limited provides boat storage, hull and launch, boat repairs, boat engine repairs, secured parking, 24-hour security, and extensive camera system, boat charters, boat rentals, and down the island parties. For more info, contact 634-1653. Lasso Frey Maritime Limited, the best in marina services. Life's better on a boat.
Hi, my name is Leslie Joel Russell and I'm a player coach at the Locketa Turbonex Rangers. I was basically in the backyard with my uncle, Arnold Russell. He basically got me into the game, just kicking a ball around, raising, showing me the basics, telling me I don't need to do all these fancy stuff. Just need to keep raising and get the touch of the ball, and that's where it started. My love for the game started at a young age, playing football in the backyard. My uncle would support me every single day, and I would go to bed with the ball, and that's why I know, I have love for this game. Started playing every single day, morning, evening, noon. Sometimes they're calling it to eat. You're not coming because you're sweating, and basically that's it. My uncle basically got me into the game then, because he used to play as well for a team called, I think it was Tunapuna Titans or something like that. And everybody told me he was really good. I never saw him play. But so he basically started me off, showing me the basics of the game. And that's where it started. When my early days in Tunapuna started, there was a field in the back of my yard. We used to call it the churchyard. That's where it started basically. Me and some other friends and some older guys started sweating there, and that's where it started basically. I moved to San Juan by my mom, and I started at San Juan Jabate. And that's where it took off with a coach called Gwenwyn Cuss. He's deceased now. He basically saw my talent. I used to play up front, and he called me one day and he said, I'm putting you to play right back. And from that day, that was it. I never moved from there. And then from right back, I moved to central defender. We used to go on ball boy, looking at some of the games where the older guys like, Otis Whitley and those other players. And playing for Jabate was a big stepping stone. It was a more organized club. Plenty national youth players were there, so you were in a good environment. You had to be on top of your game. When I started playing right back, I liked it. But then after a few years, I moved to central defense, and I found that position even better. And that's, I think I started playing there at the age of 18 years old. And from there till then, I'm playing centre back now. The journey at Jabate was good. I started at the under 16 level. We won all the tournaments, the cups and the league. Then I moved to the under 18 level. Then after that was the reserve league and then the pro team. So I basically spent about 10 years there. Well, back then the senior players were Ronald Primus, Ian Gray, Sid Gray, a lot of these players. They were seasoned professionals, so we looked up to them. We tried to pattern our game against them. And they motivated us and showed us the things, how to defend and stuff. And they gave us that confidence to play with them. Well, basically when I joined Jabate and I was in a professional environment, this is what I want to do. Well, my first national call-up was at the under 23 level with Coach Angasif. Well, when I heard I got the national call-up, it was very exciting. Our first tournament was the Pan Am Games, I think it was in 2011 in Guadalajara. From there we had Olympic qualifiers. So our first qualifiers was in Dominica. And then we moved on to the second stage, I think it was in St. Kitts. And then we qualified for the CONCACAF round, which was the last round before you go to the Olympics. I think we missed out on that by 2 points. So all in all, it was a good feeling. My first senior call-up was against Finland, 2012 I think it was, right in the National Stadium. That also was a great feeling, you know, making your debut in front of your home fans. It was a good game as well. I think we lost 3-2, but it was very exciting. My club career went from Jabate to W Connection. I joined W Connection 2010, I think it was. You know, it was something different, but very exciting. Coming up under Angus and Terry Frennick, then moving to Coach Stuart Charles was a different ball game. Was more tactical and technical. So I learned a lot, and I basically brought my defensive skills and added it to the attacking wise game that, you know, Coach Stuart liked. And from W Connection, I moved to Club Sando. Angus Eve moved to Club Sando. He started coaching there. And, you know, he phoned me and told me he wanted me to come over, and I made the move because we do have a good relationship. So after that, I spent about 3 years in Club Sando, and then I moved to Terminix Lakota Rangers. No, I spent a season in Queen's Park Cricket Club in the Super League. I spent a season there, and then one day I got a call from Dave Commoner telling me about Rangers, and there's a new ownership, and, you know, he want me to come over because he was looking for senior players to mix with the youth that they have. So I told them at the end of the season I would come over, and I did so at the end of the season. And that's, so 3 years now I'm here, and it's going good so far. Playing for Rangers is very exciting, you know. We have this wonderful field, we have the fans, we have the entertainment at the end of the game. It's something that Trinidadians love. They want to come out and see excitement and then lime after. It's something new. And I think the rest of the other clubs could probably try and look into it. I know it's difficult financially wise, but it's something that Caribbean people love. And yeah, we have the Ascension League coming up, and we're looking forward to winning it. My role in the team as a player coach, it's something new for me, but I get along well with the players. They look up to me because I have the experience, and I also give them their respect. In return, they give me theirs, and I try to lend my experience to them, show them certain things what we have to do, and it helps. Well, I'm looking forward to lending my experience to the players to help them win the tournament, and also looking forward to a coaching career in the near future. Yes, I think I have what it takes to coach at the top level in Trinidad. I've learned a lot from a lot of coaches, being Coach Angus, Coach Terry Frennick, Coach Stuart Charles, Dave Commoner. Yeah, but it's a learning experience. I'm still young in it, so I take it one step at a time. I love attacking. I love the 4-3 formation, which is basically an all-out attack. So yeah, I like to attack.
I hope you have been enjoying our Coach's Corner. I know I have been. Here's my boy Ansel Elcock for another one.
Thanks, Joel. Today we are speaking about one-on-one defending. Each defender should be able to defend one-on-one. Defenders, at least, we anticipating, yeah. But again, you need to know what player and the type of player you're playing against. Yeah. Defender should be a one-on-one defending, touch tight, slowing down the opponent so that your midfielders and your rest of the defenders should recover. That is one of the key things in defending. Yeah, defending is not only about tackling. No, defending is about slowing down your opponent so that your players, as I just say, to recover. One-on-one defending is that you realize and set and see where it is and what foot again that the individual is strong on. Well, as a right back here, first thing you need to know is if a player is right-footed or left-footed coming at you. Yeah, as a defender playing on the right side. In that position, in that case, what you need to do is to jockey him as long as possible, so that you can give your players time to recover according to how far up he is on the field. Yeah. If he's right-footed and you are right-footed and playing in the right back position, what you need to do is get yourself on a 45 degrees angle so you can send him down the line towards his left foot, right? So which means you take your time, stay at least arm's length away so that he cannot raise his head to make a pass, and so that at least if you push the ball, you can get your body in position to go across him and win the ball. Good. So now that I know from that touch how his body's shaped, you can tell he's left-footed. Yeah? So with that now, I know he want to come back inside. So as a defender, when the ball is moving, you move. Say, come here, because he's left-footed as a left back, he's left-footed. So which he's what he want to go towards his strong foot, but you want him to go towards your strong foot. So here, 45 degrees, so you can go left or right, right? So you come back inside now. You play? Good. So body here, come across, collect the ball. That's a wrap for Coach's Corner for today. Back to you, Joan.
So that's it. We had another great one. Thank you for joining us on the Ascension Football Show, and join us here every week for all the latest in local football.